It's okay to let it go to your face, though. I'm not just saying that to fill you up with sunshine, either. There's a reason, which will become clear over the course of this reflection.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Society of San Francisco Sunday Morning Worship Podcast. For more information and downloads of previous services, go to uusf.org. While you're there, check out our monthly newsletter, Weekly Flame, and much, much more.
Good morning and welcome home.
Good morning. In the spirit of trying new things, I've chosen to prepare today's sermon for delivery in video format. I realize that this format, along with its content, is unconventional, so there are a few things I would like to say to help add to the experience. The idea for the video element came as a result of the difficulty of explaining with words what a single image could much more easily convey, specifically the theology related to Tauruses, or Tauri. The idea for the recorded approach came to me during one of my dog walk sermons. Dog walk sermons are a practice of mine in which I record my ideas aloud in a flow of consciousness, as if to a podcast while I walk our dog, Maggie. Both the walk and the talk tend to be relatively unstructured and circuitous, but do generally revolve around a topic. For this specific sermon, please note that the special shaky video camera footage was taken a couple weeks ago on my route to First Unitarian Universalist, whereas the audio recording was done on New Year's Eve day on my commute to Faithful Fools. So I encourage you not to try to get caught up. Don't get caught up trying to make sense of the subway sounds or where we are on the map. You'll be confused. I was confused watching that part. And I also recognize that the theological content is fairly dense and likely unfamiliar. So please allow yourself the opportunity just to experience it and connect as you feel compelled. I also noticed in my one of my Google gadgets is quotes, famous quotes, and this one from Martin Luther King: "Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted." Last week I spoke a little bit about how we are the ones that save and that we seek to. So hopefully this video will help you become a little bit more creatively maladjusted. Also, I want to give special thanks to Jonathan, who has really done quite a bit, and for his technical know-how and support to help make this video come together to this screen. And of course, thank you. Thank you to Stephanie, who worked a couple extra days solo with Henry this week as I was tied up composing and editing. And of course, thank you to all of you for bravely being here. Let's begin again. Okay, good morning. I'm going to be doing my sermon on the road today, like as if it's a dog walk sermon, but I'm actually reading it while I walk. And I have to organize the pages. La 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 la. Okay, I'm awesome. And you're awesome too. Remember that. Just don't let it go to your head. It's okay to let it go to your face, though. I'm not just saying that to fill you up with sunshine, either. There's a reason, which will become clear over the course of this reflection. A couple summers ago, I did a chaplaincy internship up at Napa State Hospital, a mental health facility in which the majority of the population was also incarcerated. They were there either because they had been judged not guilty by reason of insanity, or were unfit to stand trial. Being a chaplain at a mental hospital, I spent a lot of time reflecting on thought processes, including my own. The hospital had a policy where employees could go to one of the kitchens in the non-incarcerated area of the hospital to get a free lunch. My supervisor assured me that there was no such thing, which was something else I learned. A few times each week, I took advantage of this opportunity, partially because it was free, partially because I didn't pack my own lunch all that early in the morning, and partly to find out what the typical fare on the menu at a California mental state hospital was like. Prognosis? Not so good. Sometimes a meal would be a round scoop of peanut butter and a round scoop of jelly between 2 pieces of white bread and a bag of potato chips. After about 3 weeks of walking to and from the kitchen each noon hour, I came to realize a pattern. I had found the shortest, fastest route between the chapel and the kitchen, and was beginning to get into an optimized groove, or rut, depending on perspective. And the part that shocked me the most, I had yet to see what lay on the far side of the chapel, not 50 feet beyond, or explore the outer path around the facility. Many of the individuals, also known as patients or prisoners, walked that path as part of their daily exercise, but to me it only existed in theory. My concern was not because of this lack of physical exploration. It was because it made me think of ruts and exploration in mental and spiritual terms. There are some habits and some thoughts that we practice every day, and some that we go through much more frequently. Thoughts like recalling the labels and categorizations that we have for people based on our interpretations of experiences with them and based on things we've heard about them. We also rehearse these categories and labels for ideas, for things, for places, and for activities. I'm thinking here of the classic Dr. Seuss story, Green Eggs and Ham. The main character, an avuncular figure named Sam, refuses again and again to eat green eggs and ham, until finally giving in to the other character's badgering, and finds out that he actually does like it, after all. I'm pretty sure by green eggs and ham, Dr. Seuss was tacitly referring here, of course, to national health care, or perhaps world peace. We tend to think about people, ideas, and activities in the context we've experienced them. Once, upon meeting some future friends for only the second time, this woman said, "I've met you before. Didn't you used to have a mustache?" True, the first time she'd met me, I had just left from a spy-themed party, where I'd been dressed up like Magnum P.I., mustache and all. I'd had the mustache for only about 8 hours before shaving it off, but that was her perception of me. I was that guy with the mustache. Ever since then, Stephanie and I try to have a mustache-themed party once a year. We've presently got our hands really quite full, so having a party this year might be a little difficult to swing. There's a common thread here. We tend to want to know the gist of the story quickly, and think that's the entirety. Our fourth principle, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, calls us to investigate further. Life is so much more complicated than we perceive at first glance. And further, it's complexifiable. Complexification is not the same as complication. To complexify something is to dig around for more connections and find further meaning. It's a process driven by curiosity and a desire to experience things more fully. But if we focus too soon on putting something into a category, or on finding a solution to our problem as quickly as possible, we're prone to get there too quickly. thinking we're there, but really we haven't even looked and found the far side of the chapel yet. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line segment. Actually, I'm walking right along the diagonal right through the parking lot right now in Oakland. But in this case, in the case of this map, from the 20th Street BART to Oakland Whole Foods, the shortest distance is many segments. But it's a segment, closed on both ends, with the minimal energy applied to get from point A to point B. And because it demands the best route, it doesn't allow us to take in all of the options. As a result, this singular focus can cause our arena of thought to become vanishingly small if we're not mindful. Particularly astonishing are the dialogues provided by mass media with their polemics and pundits on the left and the right, whose conversations serve to keep that arena of thought small, allowing between forced, limited options and keeping the scope of possibility narrow. I can't help but think that somebody behind the corporate media benefits from this, and the best way to defend ourselves is to open our arena of thought as broadly as possible. Back when I drove taxi for a year, when a passenger would get in my cab, first I'd ask them where they were going, and then ask if they wanted the route that was the fastest, the cheapest on the meter, or the most scenic. Going out of your way might cost a little more money or time, but often it brings with it a richer view of the world. Here is my usual route to church when I walk up from the Civic Center BART station. When I go a different way, my senses are a bit stronger, less habituated. When I took Larkin instead of Hyde, I found the sign from the cover of last week's order of service. Or by heading directly west first, I found some of the beautiful art in the City Hall lower level, sponsored by the Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired. However, often I am in a hurry, so I do take the most direct route. But at least now I know about those other routes and have a wider frame of reference, and I'm much more confident that my route is likely the easiest climb up to church. It's not always best to just jump right in. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Actually, I would say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a good pair of shoes and an informative map. For a journey of 1,000,000 miles, you might do better to get yourself a car or a plane. For a journey of 1,000,000,000 miles, you're going to need to bring civilization together to create a community-supported endeavor, such as NASA. And for this journey, whatever the length, remember that it is about the journey as well as the destination. So don't take the straight line segment without first considering your aesthetics. Journey poetically. Don't be afraid to sashay or chat with a stranger, make eye contact. The straight line segment suggests keeping to yourself and doing what you need to do as efficiently as possible so you can get on to something else. But with that attitude, isn't life just a series of things to efficiently complete? Take a big breath and slow down. And you may find other ways to get to point B or better destinations. Do it poetically with music for no good reason other than that you can. For example, do I sound like a musical robot? I didn't have to say that. Didn't add anything of substance to this sermon. I'll repeat it though. Do I sound like a musical robot? I'll complete this for my next stop. Maybe that's my train. No, that's not my train. Maybe I can keep going. No San Francisco train coming yet. I'm on my way to Faithful Fools. The torus is most commonly known as a donut. It's a geometer's thing, a ring encircling a ring. They come in many sizes and shapes. The ring torus, most common is king. The spindle torus has a football-shaped thing, and the horn torus has deep meaning. A single point in the center where it all comes together at a special place called the origin, where at every instance we always begin. At this nexus we're creating our spirit, our here and our now, touching everything near it. The pictures are denser than poetry knows, so I'll try and explain it less densely in prose. Ooh. Do I sound like a musical robot? The torus is commonly known as a donut or bagel. The torus is a geometer's thing. It's a ring encircling a ring. They come in many sizes and shapes, and they have wings. The ring torus, most common, is king. The spindle torus has a football-shaped thing. The horn torus has deep meaning. A single point in the center, where everything comes together at a special place called the origin, where at every instance we always begin. At this nexus we're creating our spirit, and here and now touching everything near it. The pictures are denser than poetry knows, so I'll try and explain it less densely in prose. Whew. There really is something about this special kind of torus, the horn torus, and I think it has theological implications. Imagine any of the repeating processes in your life as a circle, traveling around the surface of this torus. If this process is straightforward, say tying your shoe or picking up dry cleaning, you may be able to do it without giving any conscious thought about how to go about it. Yet actually, as you follow that process along, you get to this singularity at the origin, where there's an infinitude of possibility. You could go around the circle exactly the same way as last time, or you might smoothly change course and do something different. At that very center, there is opportunity for change. And if we open and listen closely, we can discern a variety of options and different directions. Some of those options are pretty bad. They're horrible. You could choose to take a scissors to your shoelaces, or grab your dry cleaning and run out the store without paying. Some options might be improvements. Perhaps you could learn a better way of tying a bow, or spruce up those old shoes with some bright new shoelaces. Or take an extra minute to share a little with the person who does your dry cleaning. Find out their name, give them your name, exchange a little energy with them. Some of the circles we follow around again and again are actually addictions or vices. They can stall us in our advancement and achievement in life. By vices, I'm referring not only to serious moral flaws and undesirable habits known in classical concepts. I'm referring to vice here as choices we make that prevent us from being virtuous simply in terms of opportunity cost. We only have so much time in life, and those cycles devoted to actions that keep us from doing virtuous acts are, in effect, stealing time away from doing the work of justice. This might mean wasting our time on activities that really provide no lasting benefit, or even just reserving ample time for our own self-interests. When we consider that some people in the world are not gifted with as much free time, vice might even include an inordinate amount of time devoted to prayer, meditation, or a day at the fair. By no means am I admonishing against prayer, meditation, and time off. But it's just important to listen. It's just important to listen for the calls of the world and to find a moderate balance. Sometimes these circles we follow are in our mind as well as in the external world. Things you tell yourself about yourself and others. Nobody is harder on us than we are on ourselves. During the course of the day, we can tell ourselves the same thing 100 times. Perhaps it's an echo of some long past event when somebody called us a name in school. Or it's an internalized label that we've taken on and now repeat to ourselves tacitly. Somebody handed us that label and we were unable to dispel it, or didn't even know that that was an option. And now it's become self-talk. But you can control that. You can take control there. After all, it's your head. Isn't it? Remember at the beginning when I said we were awesome? That's the self-talk I want to echo. Getting back to the torus, there's something else. The cycles, the opportunities for change aren't actually discrete. They don't come around once every revolution. We're always at the center of the torus. And it spins around us as we move forward, if we do. We can change direction at any time, at any moment. And to get from our current spiritual, physical, and mental location, our choice of direction is important. Imagine with me the condition of your life today, or of life in general. Then imagine where you'd like it to be. You might not know all of the steps, or any of those steps that it takes to get there, but you'll likely know the general direction. Because the context of the world we're in throws blockades and hurdles in our path, however, our route to get there is likely going to need to be creative and circuitous. And the center of life is not some brilliant day in your past, however appreciable it may have been, and it's not point B, some future for which you hope to arrive. And it's not 2010 years ago either. Center yourself, center your life in right now. The origin, the nexus moves with you. When you turn, it turns. When you move forward, it moves forward. As time advances, it's still right there with you. If we attempt to follow the straight line segments with our torus, we're not honoring the complexity in life. If we sit stagnant or follow the same circular paths, that's not going to get us going in the direction we'd like. And more often than not, the route that we take will wind all over the place. But the process will generally follow a vector, an arrow, that matches the direction we intend, especially if we take time to reflect and then respond by changing our direction. To be still, to hear what the world is saying and make a change here at the nexus, at the center of your spirit, is the one thing we can always do. May we all be so blessed in the year to come. Amen. Hi, Denis.
Hey, what you doing?
I just finished my sermon. Good. Wow. Yeah. Well, I have to get the recording of it to Jonathan.